everyone. Welcome back to the Personal Growth Talk podcast. I'm Alex, your host, and as always, I've got the amazing Anna here with me.
Hey everyone, super excited to be here and especially excited for today's topic.
Yeah, today we're diving into something that honestly everyone struggles with at some point. Overthinking. That mental hamster wheel where you just keep running through the same thoughts over and over and get absolutely nowhere.
Ugh, yes, been there. I think we've both lost hours, maybe even years of our lives to overthinking. And that's what we want to help you avoid.
Exactly. Today's episode is called Stop Overthinking, Start Executing, and we're going to break down why we get stuck in our heads, what it's actually costing us, and most importantly, how you can shift gears into action.
And we're going to keep it super practical. So by the end of this episode, you'll have clear steps you can start taking today to finally stop planning endlessly and start doing.
So grab your coffee, your tea, or if you're out on a walk, perfect, because we're about to get real about overthinking and how to break free from it.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, Anna, let's start by unpacking this. Why do we even overthink in the first place? Because honestly, sometimes it feels like we can't help it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually part of it. Our brains are wired to solve problems, right? It's a survival thing, but we've kind of taken that to the extreme in modern life. Now we're overanalyzing things that aren't life or death.
Totally. And a big driver is fear. Fear of making the wrong choice. Fear of failing. Fear of looking stupid. I know for me, perfectionism is huge. I'll convince myself I just need to think through every angle one more time, but really, it's just stalling.
Yep, same here. And I also catch myself comparing to other people like, well, they're doing it better, so maybe I should rethink my whole approach. And suddenly I've wasted a week just thinking.
Oh my God, yes. Social media is like gasoline on that fire. We see everyone's highlight reel and think, I need to have it all figured out before I start. So we just stay stuck.
And then there's analysis paralysis. Like sometimes we overthink because there's too much information. We read 20 articles, watch 10 YouTube videos, listen to 3 podcasts, and end up more confused than when we started.
Ha! That's literally me every time I think about upgrading my camera. I've probably spent 15 hours researching lenses instead of just buying a basic one and figuring it out.
Exactly. Sometimes it's like we want the decision to be so perfect that we forget the only way to actually learn is by doing it.
So to sum up, we overthink because of fear, perfectionism, comparing ourselves, and just having way too many options. It's like we overload our mental hard drive.
Right. And we convince ourselves we're being careful or thorough, but really, we're just postponing action.
Okay, so now that we know why we do this, let's talk about how it actually shows up in our day-to-day lives, because sometimes it's sneakier than we think.
Yeah, let's get into that.
So we've talked about why we overthink: fear, perfectionism, comparing ourselves. But let's talk about how it actually shows up in our everyday lives, because sometimes it doesn't look like classic overthinking.
Yeah, like people think overthinking is just lying awake at night spiraling, which it totally can be. But honestly, it's often way more subtle. For example, research paralysis. We tell ourselves, I'll just do a little more research before I start. And then 3 weeks later, we're still watching tutorials.
Guilty. That's literally me. Every time I think of launching something new. I once spent 2 months planning content for a blog that I never even started because I got stuck fine-tuning the logo.
Haha, oh man. For me, it shows up with what I call start-stop syndrome. I'll get all pumped up, start a project, but then I hit the tiniest roadblock, and suddenly I'm second-guessing everything, rewriting my plan or switching ideas entirely.
Oh yeah, I've totally done that. Or that thing where we plan out every single detail. Spreadsheets, mind maps, color-coded to-do lists, and then never actually take the first real step.
Right? The planning feels productive, so it tricks us, but if we never execute, we're just decorating the inside of our comfort zone.
Love that. Decorating the inside of our comfort zone. And sometimes overthinking even shows up as procrastination that looks responsible. Like, oh, I can't start this until I have the perfect setup or buy this special gear. It's basically sophisticated stalling.
Exactly. So whether it's endlessly researching, constantly tweaking, or jumping from idea to idea, overthinking keeps us busy but not actually moving forward.
Yup. And eventually, it just turns into this giant barrier that keeps us from getting any real-world feedback, which is the only thing that actually helps us grow.
All right, so now that we've identified how sneaky overthinking can be, let's look at what it's actually costing us.
Yeah, let's get real about that, because the cost is bigger than most people realize. All right, Anna, let's talk about what overthinking is actually costing us. Because it's not just annoying, it robs us of some pretty important things.
Yeah, totally. First off, time. Think of all the hours, days, even years we've spent second-guessing ourselves instead of just taking the first messy step.
Oh my God, yes. I've had ideas that sat in my head for literally years because I was too busy overanalyzing every possible scenario. Meanwhile, someone else out there just went for it, probably way less prepared than I was. And they're miles ahead now.
Exactly. And then there's the regret factor. Overthinking keeps us stuck, and later we look back like, man, I wish I'd started sooner. That eats away at your confidence over time.
Totally. You start to develop this track record with yourself of not following through. And that slowly chips at your self-trust, which makes it even harder to take action next time.
And let's not forget stress. Overthinking burns so much mental energy. It's exhausting replaying the same decision 50 different ways in your head.
Yeah. Meanwhile, nothing's actually changed in real life, but you're drained like you just ran a marathon.
And the craziest part, most of the stuff we worry about never even happens, so we're paying interest on problems that might not exist.
That's so true. Mark Twain said it best. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened.
Love that quote. So yeah, the cost is huge. Lost time, lost opportunities, stress, and eventually a dent in how much we believe in ourselves.
All right. So now that we see how much this is costing us, let's flip the switch and start talking about how we can break this cycle.
Yes, let's move from overthinking to actually doing.
All right. So we've talked about why we overthink, how it shows up, and what it's costing us. And honestly, that alone is a pretty big wake-up call.
Yeah, but we don't want to just leave it there, because the good news is you can absolutely train yourself to break out of the overthinking loop and start taking real action.
Exactly. So let's shift gears now. We're going to give you some super practical strategies, things you can literally start doing today to stop overthinking and finally start executing.
Yep, let's get into the good stuff.
All right? So let's get into the practical part. Because honestly, knowing why we overthink doesn't change much if we don't also figure out how to stop.
Yeah, so we've put together some strategies that have really helped us. These aren't just theories, these are things we've actually tested in our own messy, real lives.
First up, set short deadlines. Overthinking thrives on open-ended timelines. If you say, I'll launch my podcast sometime this year. Guess what? You'll keep tweaking it forever.
Right. Try giving yourself a short, even slightly uncomfortable deadline, like, I'll record my first episode by next Friday. It forces your brain to prioritize action over perfection.
Second one, break things down into tiny steps. If your brain sees start a YouTube channel, it panics. But if it sees write down 3 video ideas, that's manageable.
Exactly. Overthinking loves big, vague goals. Micro steps help trick your brain into getting started without the drama.
Next up, repeat after me done is better than perfect. Because perfectionism is basically just fear dressed up in fancy clothes.
Yep, and your first attempt at anything is supposed to be rough. Nobody's first draft is brilliant. The goal is to create, then improve. You can't edit a blank page.
Another game changer. Get an accountability buddy. Tell someone your deadline. It's way harder to flake when someone's checking in on you.
So true. Even texting a friend, "Hey, I'm going to post my first reel by Saturday. Will you check on me?" That's huge. It gives you just enough positive pressure to move.
Last one. Build a habit of taking small, imperfect actions every single day. Momentum kills overthinking. The more you do, the less time you have to spiral.
Yeah, and the more often you act, the more you prove to yourself that you can. You start rewriting your identity from someone who hesitates to someone who executes.
Love that. It's literally about teaching your brain, hey, we're people who do stuff. We don't just think about it endlessly.
So, quick recap on these strategies. Set short deadlines. Break things into tiny steps. Choose done over perfect. Get some accountability. Take small, imperfect action daily.
And honestly, even if you just pick 1 meters of these and start today, you'll already be miles ahead of where you were yesterday. All right, so beyond the practical stuff, there's also this huge piece around mindset. Because honestly, if your mindset doesn't shift, you'll just keep falling back into old overthinking habits.
Yeah, it's like the software running in the background of your brain. If we don't update it, no amount of fancy productivity hacks are gonna stick.
One of the best mindset shifts is developing what people call a bias toward action. That means defaulting to doing something even if it's small, instead of sitting around planning it to death.
Right, it's basically the opposite of overthinking. Instead of asking, "Is this the perfect time? Do I have all the info?" You just ask, "What's the next tiny step I can take right now?"
Another huge shift is reframing mistakes. Overthinkers see mistakes as these catastrophic failures that prove we're not good enough.
Yeah, when really, mistakes are just data. They show you what needs tweaking. You're not starting from zero every time. You're starting from experience.
Exactly. And related to that, realizing that you're never really starting from scratch. Every experiment teaches you something you'll use later.
Yes, even if your first try flops, you're miles ahead of the person still stuck planning. Execution gives you real-world feedback that thinking alone never can.
So, to sum it up, adopt a bias toward action. See mistakes as helpful data, not proof you failed. And remember, you're always building on what you've already learned.
Love that. It's honestly such a more compassionate, energizing way to approach life, and it makes taking action way less scary.
All right, so let's do something fun here. A quick little role play to show how overthinking versus executing actually plays out.
Love it. Okay, so I'll be the classic overthinker. Let's say I want to start an Instagram page for my art.
All right, go.
Okay, so I want to start this art page, but what if no one likes it? Should I do reels or just photos? Maybe I need a special brand color palette first. Actually, maybe I should take a few courses before I even post. Ugh, it's probably too late to even grow on Instagram now anyway.
Perfect. Now let's switch it. Try again, but this time with a bias toward action mindset.
All right, I want to start an art page. Cool, today I'll post one sketch, caption it, Day 1, and see what happens. Tomorrow I'll do another. I'll figure the rest out as I go.
Boom! Same person, same goal. Completely different energy. The first version stays stuck forever. The second version learns by doing, grows confidence, and actually starts building something.
And probably gets way better, way faster, than the person still stressing about hex codes and hashtags.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be started. All right, listeners, here's your challenge for this week. And it's simple, but powerful.
Pick one thing you've been overthinking about, whether it's a project, a decision, or even just sending that email.
Then set a tiny, clear deadline to take one small action on it, like today or tomorrow at the latest.
Remember, progress beats perfection, action beats hesitation. So get moving, even if it feels messy or imperfect.
We'd love to hear how it goes. Feel free to share your wins or struggles with us on social media. We're cheering you on every step of the way.
You've got this!
All right, friends, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We hope this episode gave you some real clarity on why overthinking happens, and more importantly, how to stop it from holding you back.
Yeah, remember, it's totally normal to get stuck sometimes. The key is not to let it become a habit. You can break the cycle by taking small, imperfect steps and building that momentum.
And don't forget those mindset shifts. A bias toward action, seeing mistakes as data, and trusting that you're always learning.
We believe in you. Progress over perfection, every single time.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Growth Talk podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with a friend who might need to hear this message.
And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into personal growth topics.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Personal Growth Talk podcast. We really appreciate you spending this time with us.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and share it with someone who might benefit. It really helps us reach more people.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode full of practical tips for your personal growth journey.
Until next time, keep taking those imperfect steps forward. Next time, you'll everyone.